Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we have the return of a long lost tank in the game. Today I'm playing the tank that I'm not going to try and pronounce because I will get it wrong, so we're going to call it the Awful Panther. I'll give it a go. The Aufkl Panzer Panther, I believe. Probably wrong. Possibly the fattest light tank in the game. As you can see me next to a UDES 14.5, which is not a small medium tank, and we are massively bigger than him. This thing was removed from the game, I don't actually know what patch it was, but a long time ago, and then they just added it back in as a tier 7 premium tank back into the game in this year's black market. Literally first thing this morning, it was an open auction. I got the tank for around 10 million credits, which is actually quite excessive for what it is, but I'm sure if I play a couple hundred games, I'll make that back. It's more the fact that I'm really a tank collector, so I'm like, well, I want as many tanks in my garage as I possibly can. So I was like, yep, 100%, I'm going to get the Awful Panther back. And I remember, obviously, playing it way back in the day. Quick note as well on this, if you did manage to get hold of this thing, it actually continues on from your stats and your mark of excellence from back when it got removed. Because, for example, I'm at 30% mark of excellence, and I've only played 2 games. It was continued on from its previous stats, which was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, it's interesting. So what is this thing all about? For those of you who haven't really played the game since it was removed, or I've only just started playing since it was removed. So this thing it's a tier 7 German light tank, and like I said, it is one big boy. It's a Panther chassis, and it's got the VK2001 turret on it. Because it is a Panther chassis, it means it's quite heavy. This thing was renowned back in the day for being able to ram things. It's ridiculous for other light tanks being able to ram the absolute bejesus out of them. It's got an actual, a really nice little gun for tier 7 light tanks. It's a 75mm gun. And it does 135 damage, which is slightly on the low side. Has a decent rate of fire. Penetration of 157 is actually quite nice for a tier 7 light. And its shell velocity is absolutely lovely. On the premium rounds, even nicer at 1260 meters a second and 205 millimeters a pen on the standard rounds. Now you see me here, I'm not really in the bush, just, you know, near it. But I'm actually wrestling with the gun depression, because this is typical amongst quite a lot of German tanks, actually, in the fact that it has more gun depression over the sides than it does over the front and the rear. So you see me kind of jiggling to try and get the gun depression. I take a shot at the Skoda T50, and that was actually quite an awful mistake. We take a shot from an E50. Fortunately, he was using the 88mm gun by the looks of it. And we take a shot from the enemy's Awful Panther as well. Now, you might see that this thing's aim time is actually incredibly good, and it's 1.5 seconds base, which is one of the best aim times at high tier. I don't think the accuracy is amazing, although I don't think it's too bad. I should have actually looked before I started recording this video and been a bit more prepared. But the gun is actually really quite nice on this thing. Obviously, if you get into a 1v1 against another light tank in this, you ram. Even if you can just nudge people, you do so much ramming damage, because I think this thing weighs like over 40 tons. And it goes pretty quick. I think I've fitted mine with, because the aim time is so good, I've actually not bothered with vert stabs. And I've gone with a rammer, optics, and a turbo as well. Just so that I'm able to hit things hard if I do attempt to ram them. So, we are on Mannerheim line. I should probably point this out. We went up towards the north, and unfortunately, well, I got spotted. I took a couple of hits, but I had no support up there with me, other than that UDES who died. So I just decided to fall back and start to defend the base. We got a Samoa spotted and killed. We just got the Skoda T50 spotted and killed, and now there's an E50 around here as well. And an enemy Awful Panther also. Now, I would like to point out, this tank is not the best tank in the game. It's not the greatest tank. It's definitely, just by tank stats, it is not worth 10 million credits. However, like I said, the reason I wanted it was I played it back in the day, and I'm a tank collector. If any of you got it and were like, oh my god, it's absolute shit, why'd I pay like 10 million credits for this thing? Well, that's all falls on you. It's like I bought the A32 as well. 7,500 gold on a tier 4 medium tank. Yes, it's quite fun, but it's not worth that much. Also, no idea where that shell went. He's on 1 health. You would just say, ah, Max, why don't you just load HE? This tank doesn't actually get HE. It's not that I'm just not carrying it. It literally physically does not have HE. I think it's something to do with the fact that this gun, although it's a 75mm, it's 7.5 centimeters / 5.5 centimeter. I think it, as the shell fires, it squeezes the shell down, and then it gives it more velocity, so that when it comes out the muzzle, it's going at a fair lick, I think is the technical term. But I would think that's probably why you can't actually fire HE in this thing. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what it is. You can see me there when I was in that bush. I had a little look and went, I'm not actually in this bush, really. I'm just kind of parked near this bush. And this is actually quite a tense game on Mannerheim Line. And I'll spoil it for you now. We're going to win this game, but you're not going to get to see the ending, because it becomes very boring very, very quickly. Like, it was very much a Mannerheim Line camp at the end, and unfortunately, like, I wasn't involved in it because I'm on 97 hit points currently. Again, you can kind of see the issue with the gun depression over the front of the tank. You have to turn side on so you can get side gun depression. You can see why this thing is such a good rammer, because it is so mobile, and at the same time weighs just so much for a light tank. But yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled to see it back in the game. I'm glad I got hold of it. The only one now, according to the leaks on the black market, that I want to get my hands on is the T22 SR or T22 medium, because back in the day when that was released in, what was it called? I can't remember what the game mode was called. Oh, that's gonna bug me. No, I can't remember what it was called. It was I was actually only like 2 missions off getting it, and there we go. Unfortunately, I do end up dying there. We did 1,300 damage, 2.7k spotting. This was enough for an ace. I'll go take you to the post-game stats in just a second. But yeah, unfortunately we died. The Awful Panther was ready for us, and then, like I said, this game now just becomes ridiculously painful. It goes on for near enough another 7.5 minutes of just... I was watching it just like, I want to do a YouTube video on this, but I'm not going to show the rest of this game because it's very painful. But yeah, just a quick look at the Aufkl Panzer Panther for you again. If you got the tank, great. Tell me what you think of it. Do you think it's better than you remember it? Is it not as good as you remember it? If you didn't get hold of it, do you remember it at all? Are you happy to see it back? Do you wish it had never come back? Let me know down in the comments. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching the video. Thank you for coming over to my channel or staying on my channel. If you have enjoyed, please consider giving it a like. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. And make sure you go check out other videos whilst you're on the channel. Something else that I don't think people use that much is I actually have a public tank list of all of the different tanks I have. And on that tank list, I've done links to each one of the tanks that I've done a tank review on. Obviously, there is also a playlist here on YouTube, so, you know, do whichever one you want. But it's just a helpful thing if you're looking for a specific tank, or if you're coming over onto my stream, I use the tank list quite a lot as well. Anyway, I'm waffling. Let's go take a look at the post-game stats. So, there we go, guys. We managed to get an ace, which is very nice. It's actually my first ace in the tank. Before it disappeared, I only played like 30 or so games in it, and when it came back and it was still using the same stats, I was like, I haven't actually aced it. So it's nice. I've aced the tank now. We did 1,593 damage. I think we hit a couple of blind shots on one of those Aufkl Panzer Panthers or the Leo, depending on what I hit. I'm not really sure. I was just firing blind into the bush. We also did the 2,895 spotting, which gives us enough for an ace. Like I said, we did manage to win the game. Oh, it was awful watching like this guy facing off against... it was just awful. We didn't even manage to finish top on XP, to fair play to the It's your 1:30 p.m. But this was the worst possible matchup you can get for this tank. We were against E50, Skoda T50, and it's not like we even didn't see them. They were right in front of us. Fired 20 shots, hit 16, pen 12, not too bad. And obviously, because this thing is now a premium tank, it does make nice credits. I do run a premium consumable on it, so if you didn't want to, you don't have to. But it is quite nice as well. And yeah, other than that, like I said before, make sure you give the video a like, guys. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and make sure you turn notifications on as well so you know when I upload. All that usual YouTube crap. And other than that, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.